Hi everyone, this is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my weekly Tea Time and a Card. I'm just going to give it a few seconds. I can see you guys all coming on. Hello everyone. So you guys, we only have a few days left of, I didn't bring my catalogs out. This catalog expires on May 1st. And then our new one starts on May 2nd. So don't forget to check out the last chance list for products that are retiring from this catalog and also the mini catalog. Just wanted to remind you of that. Less than a week left. And then I'll be able to show inside the catalog. Okay, I need to straighten my counter out again. Let me see if I went the right way. Nope, I went the wrong way. I gotta have straight lines. I can see you guys all hopping on. Okay, that's a little better. Okay, tonight, that's all I have for announcements because new catalog is coming. Tonight I am using the Apple Harvest stamp set, and that does come with the Apple Blossoms dies, which I am not using tonight. I'm showing you a technique. Now, some of you guys will be familiar with the technique, but I always like to bring old techniques back out for those of you that are new stampers. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, I can see you. I'm also using the deckled rectangles dies. These also carried over, so you'll see both products in the new catalog. I'm actually using, if you count from the outside, I'm using number 5. This is the image I'm using. I'm bringing all the products out first, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I've got pumpkin pie blends. I've got granny apple green, color lifter, and I have a funny story to tell you about a color lifter. I also have the water painter. I'm just using the little skinny one, the little skinny end. Dimensionals, of course. The sentiment is thanks for your kindness. I have just a blank clear block I'm going to do something with. Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I have an empty paper paper pumpkin box or kid collections, whichever. So most of you guys know that our Stamparatus is not going to go into the new catalog, and there's a reason for that. So I'm using a technique today that I'm going to show you how to use this empty box to replace the Stamparatus if you don't have one. So stay tuned for that. I do have a cloth and a humongous clear block that I'm going to use with this stamp. Normally I would use my Stamparatus, which I still have. I won't get rid of it, but because I will no longer be able to sell it, you probably won't see me use it that often. Okay, here are my layers. Granny apple green, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. So let me fold that with my bone folder. I'll just get that ready. I have pumpkin pie, 5 1/4 by 4. 2 pieces. Actually, I have 3 in case I mess up. This one is just a spare. 2 pieces of basic white, 5 by 3 3/4. And I'm going to show you the spotlight technique tonight. As I said, some of you guys will be familiar with it, but this is the card that I made. You can see there's 2 layers there. You stamp the bottom one with just black and white, and then you color the next layer that's raised. So I'm going to show you how to do the spotlight technique in case you're new and you haven't seen this yet. This is where my little box comes in. I'm going to put some adhesive. I'm going to use my 2 white layers. I want these 2 layers to be stamped exactly the same. That's why I'm doing this. I'm going to make sure this is right smack dab in the corner. I'm going to press so that the adhesive holds it down. And then I'll do the same thing with this one. Now, I did put tape on my box just so it wouldn't bow on me. Now, as you can see, my image is more towards the left. So I'm going to take the image, place it on here more towards the left and towards the top. so that we can put the sentiment on the bottom. Now this is where I need to make some room. I don't want anything interfering. So this is where I'm using this as a stamparatus. I need to try to take one of these lights off so it's not so glary. I'm trying to figure out which one. Hold on a minute. One of them is really glaring against that. That didn't help, did it? Okay, I'll have to leave it the way it is. Okay, there. I had one missing. Now I'm going to take this large block. I'm going to make sure it's against these two walls of my box. I'm going to go straight down and pick up my stamp. Okay. Then I'm going to turn around and ink my stamp with the tuxedo black. You have to go very slow with this to make sure you don't drop it. So now I'm going to put this so it's even on both sides. And I'm going to slowly go down. There's my first one. Because when you're doing the spotlight technique, you have to make sure everything lines up. I wanted this to be centered. That's why I'm doing this. Here's number 2. And yes, I just came up with this just a few days ago. I just had one of those bright light moments. Okay, I'm going to ink my stamp again. And again, I'm going to make sure it's against these two walls of my box. Slowly go down. There's number 2. And look, they're exactly the same. Isn't that neat? So now what I need to do, one of these is going to be colored. So let me just bring in a pad of paper just to color on. And then I'm going to cut what I need. I'm going to start out with the dark pumpkin pie. Now this one's pretty easy to color because you have the shading is all done for you already. So the dark, I'm going to cover the shading that you see. This kind of guides you. So I'm going to do I made these instead of apples, I'm making these into tangerines or oranges, nectarines, whatever. Okay, now I'm going to go, okay, I think I got them all. Now I'm going to use the light. And I'm going to blend those two colors where they meet. I need a new one of this one. My tip is getting worn out. Okay, I'm just going to blend where the two colors meet. I know some of you guys always tell me you like to watch someone color. It's so relaxing. Okay, next I'm going to use the dark Granny Apple Green. And all I'm going to do is just highlight all of the veins in each leaf. Now some of these I'm coloring for nothing because I'm going to cut this with the die, but that's okay. We're going to do the whole thing anyway. You could always use the outside layer that will cut off as a frame too. So all I'm doing is tracing the veins, and then I'm going to switch to the thinner end to do the stems. I decided not to do my stems brown. I decided to do everything green. This is the worst part because then you just color everything. Okay, I'm going to switch to the fine tip. I'm just going to do, oops, I forgot this one. I'm just going to add the dark where there would be a shadow, which would be on the ends, and then also where they meet with the leaf. Okay, I think I got it all. Now let's switch to the light. Now because these are veins, you don't really have to blend, you just color. You want the dark of the veins to stand out. And I'll do the stems again with the light, the fine tip. A lot of leaves on this image, but it goes pretty fast, as you can see. I know a lot of you guys commented that you love the spotlight technique. It's so neat. And you don't have to choose the middle of a section. You could always do a circle punch and do just a really minimal amount of spotlighting, or you can do a larger amount. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Almost done. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the fine tip and just do my stems. And then I'm going to use the die to cut what I need. Now, the little trick that I just showed you with the box, that's not something you could use as far as repetitive stamping to make something darker by doing multiple layers. This is more for just a general, what do I want to say? Just because these were pretty much just the same direction, but you don't want to stamp this using that box more than once because you probably won't line up the lines correctly. Okay, now let me bring in my machine and you'll see what I mean when I say frame. So now I'm going to put this right in the middle, except I just messed right there, but you could always cover that with something. This is going to be right in the center. I'm going to use a piece of tape to hold that down. Okay, whoops, I dropped one of my plates. Okay, so this is the one I'm going to use for the card, and you could also use the leftover for something else. You could put something else on the inside. Now let's bring this. Oops, I need to stamp this sentiment. Now I always tell you guys, because we're not cutting this sentiment out, you only got one chance to get this right. So I always tell you to practice with your grid paper. So I'm going to use the line right here to see how straight I can get this. Okay, pretty good. Sometimes, depending on how you put your label on your stamp, you might not get it straight. That's going to go right down here, like that. And we're going to do one more thing before we glue it on the card. I need to put this stamp pad away. I'm going to dig out my little cloth. I'm going to put this in the middle, my clear block, and I'm going to get the ink refill that I just put away. So the Memento ink, hold on, I got spots on my fingers. You know what's going to happen. I'm going to get it all over the card like I did on that leftover frame. Okay, so all I'm going to do here, I'm going to do just one drop of ink. I'm going to bring in my water painter, and again, I'm going to repeat this in case you've never used one. These are backwards. Normally, you would unscrew the other way, but this way, you got to go towards you to loosen it up. If you see that the water doesn't come out, like right now it's not coming out a lot, I loosen it to let some air bubbles in and look at it pour. So I'm going to put a couple drops of water. I'm just going to thin this out. And I'm going to use my finger. And I'm just going to do a couple little dots on my, that's it. See, just a little couple of dots. I'm going to rinse this out when I'm done. I'm going to bring it up to show you. And I'll also bring up the other one to show you that it's got dots on the background. Okay, that's just a little trick to do with your water painter. Let me put this aside. This is still drying. We're going to glue the pumpkin pie first. And for those of you on Facebook, I will draw a name for this card tomorrow. We're going to glue the white piece that has the stamped image on it. So 1, 2, 3. This is still a little wet, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to add my dimensionals to my card front. I'm just going to put 6 of them. That way I don't have to flip that over and mess it up. Because now what we need to do is match up the lines so that the image flows. So let me see if I can do this without messing it up. Okay, see the branches right there? I am lining that up. And that is the spotlight technique. I'm going to put this one down so I don't mess it up. And again, here's a close-up of it. Now, one more thing that I wanted to show you that I did not do right away, but that's fine. If you look at my little oranges, I have some white specks in the middle. That's where the color lifter comes in. I take the color lifter and I quickly just do like this. Just swipe it on there. You can't tell right away that it's doing something, but I'll bring it up and you can see it's lightening up already right in the middle of each tangerine or orange. So that's just a way to add a little bit of a white highlight without making an actual stroke, just by going quickly through it. So that's my card for today, everyone, the spotlighting technique. I hope you enjoyed it. It's an oldie but goodie. And I will see you again next week, same time, same place. Thanks for joining me. Have a good night and bye-bye.